Did you know that most nonprofits don't lose donors because of their lack of heart? They typically lose donors because no one reaches out at the right moment. And I'm here today to help you keep more donors without adding more work to your daily plan. So, welcome to the Fundraising Lab. Today, we are going to talk about the Smart Steward Method and why donor stewardship is really important. We're going to talk about the three E's, a really simplified, easy to follow plan that make it all work, and six donor journeys, step by step actions that are going to help support this. Now, if we go through all of this, the steps to take, and you're like, you know what, I want a deeper dive into this, you are in the right place because we have donor journey templates and a free 7-day fundraising bootcamp that I will be linking right below and in the description today. You might even ask, what is donor stewardship? We should start there. Well, donor stewardship is really this intentional, ongoing process of building relationships and nurturing those relationships with your donors. We are moving from transactional, the gift or the transaction that they're making, and we're making it relational. So, all of this donor stewardship, when we are intentionally reaching out to our donors, it's going to help with our donor retention and donor loyalty to your organization. It also builds trust and transparency. We're going to show the donors what we're doing, show how their dollars are making this happen, and build that trust with your donors. And then it also helps with increased giving and mission loyalty. There are so many awesome nonprofits out there. So if you can send the right message at the right time to your donors, you can increase their giving and also how they're loyal to your organization and your mission. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the Smart Steward Method. That's what DonorDoc has come up with. And it's really this simple operating system for donor care. It's going to be very relational. And that's where you'll see in our human equation here that the human piece is the main factor, our personal connections with our donors. Then the automation, which is going to make it repeatable and scalable, is going to help us with timing, tasks, reminders. But at the core of that is the human relationship. And then our automations are going to make it scalable and repeatable. And then with that in place, we have our connection at scale. So it's really important to keep in mind that if the human relationship part is zero, it doesn't matter how many automations and things that you have set up, your connection is still going to be zero. So let's focus on the human relationships, and we're going to use our tools and our technology to make that repeatable, and we're going to connect further with our donors. So I always want to keep that at the forefront as we talk about adding technology and everything into our Smart Steward Method. Now, you may say, what is the Smart Steward Method? Well, this is a proven process that DonorDoc has intentionally, built. That's an iterative approach. You're going to see that it doesn't start and stop. It keeps going because we're always evaluating and establishing and executing these different steps into this. So it's going to help us with insights and timely actions to take. And that is going to create the meaningful, lasting connections with your donors. We have seen with the Smart Steward Method that this really helps with your productivity. You can be more productive and know what you're going to do every single day. It also helps with our confidence. You can be confident in knowing that you're doing the right things to move your mission forward and make a difference every single day. And then that's all going to help with the experience that you are having within your organization and the experience that your donors are having with you and your organization, even as you grow. Implementing this Smart Steward Method can really help with that. So let's dig in a little bit into how this all fits together. So you'll see here in the center is our Smart Steward Method, and we're going to walk through the three E's, we call them, of evaluate, establish, and execute. And as you can see, it does not stop. There's not a checkered flag to tell us that we've reached the end. Execute goes right back into evaluate. This is an iterative approach, it's ongoing, and we're going to help move this forward. So let's dive in to the loop that makes stewardship possible. All right. The first step is evaluate, and we're going to assess our current practices and needs. Now, evaluation isn't always the most exciting step that you can take, but it is really important. So, we're going to look at few key questions that we can ask ourselves and our organization. One, what are our current donor segments? Do we send the same message to the entire list of people at the same time? Or can we segment out based on different criteria? How effective are our current touch points and communications? What's working well? You probably have things that you're doing that really work well. And then you may have things that aren't moving your mission forward. So let's evaluate that. And then what does our retention rate look like across different donor types? And when we think of donor types, by the way, if you want to look back, we do have a great video on segmentation and your donors. But today we're going to talk about our prospects, people interested in our organization, but they haven't given yet. That first time donor, the recurring or monthly annual donor, your major donors, so people who give a certain size and higher, your lapsed donors, people who have given in the past but aren't currently donating, and then even this sustainer kind of mid-level donor journey. So what does your retention rate look like across these different kind of segments of your donors? And then how are you using your CRM for donor data and relationship management? Do you have these data silos where we use one thing for email marketing and one thing for tracking donations and another system, for our events or volunteer tracking, but are they all talking together? What systems do you have and how well are you using those? So, just a few key questions to ask yourself. And that first one is looking at your CRM and doing an audit. And I will say, this is not the most glamorous step, but it is so imperative to know if your records are complete. Do you have first name, last name, email, physical address? What information do you have? And is it accurate? Have all of the gifts been tracked and touch points been tracked so that you know that the information is up to date and accurate? Once you've looked at your CRM and your data in there, you may have a little cleanup to do. Next, we're going to assess your current journeys. And in fact, you might actually be asking yourself, what is a journey, or do we even have journeys? Journeys are really what we're looking at are the intentional step by step practices and honestly journeys that you're taking your contacts on, whether that's that prospect stage, the donor, the lapsed. What is this relationship look like, and mapping out what you're doing so far? And you can look first for bottlenecks. Where are things stopping? Are there stages where our donors drop off or they don't move forward? And then we want to look at all of your systems. So we talked a little bit about that in our CRM audit. Are we using other things for emails, event management, volunteer tracking? And can they all talk together? Because we're trying to get rid of data silos where everything's housed, in a different system or on paper or in somebody's mind. And we're trying to get it all to talk together so that we have this source of truth, which a lot of times can be your CRM. If it's spreadsheets and you're still on spreadsheets, that's okay too. It might just take a little more work. But how can we get everything talking together so that we have one source of truth for our information? All right. So when we've looked at this evaluate stage, we are looking at what works really well and what are our best practices that our organization is taking right now. Then we're going to look at some of those problem areas. Where are people dropping off? We have a really low retention rate. We only have this percent of second time givers. So, what's a problem area that might need some of your attention? You're going to look for those opportunities for improvement. We don't want to let perfect be the enemy of the good, but there are going to be opportunities where we can improve some of our journeys and practices. And that moves us into our second E, which is the establish phase. Here is where we're going to actually develop a strategy and a plan for our infrastructure. The first step is to really set clear goals and objectives. And with that, they should be simple and easy to measure. So let's look at a couple of things in that. When you have clear goals and objectives, it's going to be simple, short, and something maybe like increase our donor retention by X percent. Or we want to boost our average gift size by Y percent. Or maybe it's something that you want to strengthen engagement among your lapsed donors. All of these goals and objectives can be measured, and that's really important. And then the next step in our established phase is to define the stewardship journey. How are we going to meet our goals and objectives, and what steps do we need to take? So, this is the actionable steps that we've developed here. We're going to map the journey to your CRM processes. Now, if you want this template, we have templates for all of these. We actually have a really in-depth 7-day fundraising bootcamp where we go through them in videos. And so it's really cool. And I encourage you to click that button and find that free resource. But let's talk about the journey and how we can use, again, our CRM to really map these processes. So, one, our CRM is going to help us with touchpoint automations. We can have tasks and workflows created, and then we can send reminders to personally reach out. Or there might be times where we do want to automate an email that's going out to everybody. And we want to make sure that we're doing a communication cadence. So we have intentional times that we're sending out messages to our donors. Now, with these journeys, we're going to look at implementing all of those different steps. And we've actually established 6 kind of key journeys that are going to help you leverage moments for even the smallest of teams. It's going to start with the prospect and welcoming a relationship with that donor. So this is before they even give. They've shown interest. Maybe they've joined your mailing list or your email list. Maybe they've attended an event for you. So they've shown signals and signs that they're interested in your organization. Then we're going to look at that first time donor. So taking that prospect on this journey, they feel connected to us and they give that first time gift. We want to steward that gift not only well, but the relationship that we're going to be cultivating. Sometimes those prospects to first time donors can also become recurring donors. And in this case, we want to define what is a recurring donor. We typically look at it as that donor that is giving monthly, annually, quarterly, weekly, whatever the time frame may be, but they have that automatic recurring donation set up. And then another key journey that I like to talk about is the mid-level donor journey. Sometimes this can be an overlooked segment of contacts. And in fact, I encourage you to give this level of donor a name, like your sustainers, because they really are important. So they're not the one-time or sometime donor. They give to you and they give an amount that is substantial, but it doesn't reach what we call our major donor amounts. So really these segments are important because we want to talk to our first time donor differently than our monthly recurring donor, to our sustainer or mid-level donor, and then of course that major donor. We want to sometimes move our donors up into that major donor stage. And then of course we have our lapsed donors. These are people who have an affinity to our organization, but one, we want to define what a lapsed donor is. Typically we kind of look at somebody maybe who hasn't donated in the last 24 months, but your organization can decide that. And then we want to reach back out. We're not treating them the same as a prospect because they've given before, but we do want to re engage them back into our organization and perhaps give that reactivation gift to that donor stage. So these are 6 key journeys that I think are really important. And even for the smallest team, if you're doing these things, you're really moving your mission forward and making sure that people aren't falling through the cracks and we're not losing those donors because we haven't reached out to them. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list. You can definitely have your own that you're putting in here, but these are the key ones that we have templates for and step by step directions. When we look at the journey that we're going to take, I like to actually map it out with what it is, the time frame that we're going to do it in, and then some like helpful things below. So, for an example of our first time donor journey, I won't go through all of them today. Again, click that link in the description below for the templates and the fundraising bootcamp. But on day one, when a donor gives their first gift, this is on top of the automatic maybe receipt you're sending out, the transactional part. We're digging into the relational part. We're going to follow up with acknowledgement and gratitude. Maybe it's an email thank you or a personal thank you note and welcome to the organization. Then on day 6, we're going to send them a welcome to our mission communication. So if they like to get email or if they maybe you have a physical address for them, you can decide if you're sending direct mail or email, but you want to share a quick overview of your organization's story, your vision, and key programs that their gift can support. Then on day 14, we're going to give a little sneak peek behind the scenes video or pictures, or maybe send that success story. Talk about one of the beneficiaries of your mission and personalize this story. Behind the curtain kind of sneak peek is always a great one, too. You will notice in this, yes, we are reaching out, but these are different touch points, and the stories that we're sharing are different as well too, and we're not making another ask at this point. I think it's important to note that we are building a relationship and stewarding the donor, not just asking for a gift every single time. And I think that's the key point to note. Sometimes people will say, well, what if people don't like to get your email? If you're thanking them and giving them sneak peeks and looks into your mission, I don't think people mind that experience. And we always want to enable them to opt out of that communication. So always give that clear off ramp as well too if they don't want to hear from you as well. Then at day 30, we're going to invite this first time donor to engage further. So this could be a special invite to an event, or maybe you have a lunch and learn that you're inviting people if you have a space that people come actually see, or maybe it's volunteering, right? It's not just about monetary donations. We want to further deepen their relationship with our organization through an invitation to interact. And then on day 60, so now it's been 60 days since their first gift. We're nurturing this relationship, checking in. Then on day 60, we can decide to ask for that second gift, or maybe even say, would you like to make your one time gift a recurring donation to support our programs? Recap the impact that their gift had on the organization, make it personal to their gift, and then support it with the story and the emotional, tangible piece of it. And then you can support it with stats and statistics. But we always say lead with your storytelling first and then support your story with stats. And then we're inviting them to deepen that relationship with a second gift or a recurring donation. So this is just an example of the touch points. This might sound like too much, and you can always customize this to what works for your organization. But as we noted, right, a lot of times our donors drop off after that first time gift because nobody reaches out and they don't feel personally connected. So just this journey alone can really deepen that relationship. All right, now you have your infrastructure. Again, if you want those templates, we have those readily available. But how are we going to measure this? So we're going to take these steps, and how do we know if it's working or not? And that's where we want to be able to measure our goals. Here's a few examples. Email open and click rates. So when you're sending out your emails, what's your open rate on that? Can you analyze your emails? What's your donor retention look like after you've, been doing this? Calculate your donor retention. Maybe it's donation frequency increases or the gift size increases. Or maybe it's donor satisfaction, sending out a survey. If just the engagement piece was important, you can send out a survey and say, thank you for your gift. How would you like to be interacted with? What was their experience with donating to your organization? So these, again, are just quick examples of how you can measure in this stage. And then it's really important, even in the smallest teams, to document these steps and train the people in your team. I think that step gets lost a little bit. We have a plan, it might be in our head, or two people know it, but document what is happening and present it to your team in a clear, user-friendly stewardship plan. And then get your team on board and make sure they're trained on your systems. So whether it's paid staff or volunteers, make sure they know how to use your systems in place like CRM, and they understand why this is important and what is happening so that they can get on board and get excited as well too. So all of that established phase, at the end of this, we're going to have a documented donor stewardship plan. We're going to map our journeys or the steps that we're going to take. And then we're going to take that and utilize our technology tools like configuring your CRM to remind you or putting in those automated emails so that we can scale this as our donors are coming in with each key journey, not just that first time donor. And then we have to execute. So we're moving into the third E of our three E's, which is execute. So we are implementing this plan. We are following our workflows and our processes. We're sending out the cards, the emails, we're doing the phone calls. And then we're communicating as a team. So regular touch points. How is this going? This is working really well. And track that progress. Remember to track your progress. Regularly report on your key metrics that we decided in our established phase. And then improve. There isn't a finish line. We're going to try and improve this. So after your set period, maybe it's a year or 6 months, we're going to return to the evaluate stage and we're going to look at all of those key pieces again. Let's look at how it all fits together. So that first evaluate stage, we're looking at the information we have and we're establishing and making decisions on our simple plans. And then in our execute, we're keeping the humans in the loop and our automations are really helping with the timing. And then we go right back into evaluate as that loop makes the stewardship plans work. The relationship loop really makes our stewardship consistent. So even with a small team, this can be implemented. In fact, I challenge you today to just pick one journey that you do not want to miss out on and follow the 3 E's for that one journey just to get started. Sometimes taking the biggest step is just starting. So I encourage you today to take that first step, pick a journey, and start evaluating, establishing, and executing those steps. I mentioned it a few times in this video, but if you want the templates, the copy, the timing, the rules that save you weeks of trial and error, you can join our free 7-day fundraising bootcamp. You will get daily lessons, best practices from nonprofit fundraising experts, and a plan to start it all. And you can do it all through videos and content along with all of the templates as well. All right. I hope you join us next time in the Fundraising Lab for more tips and tricks to help you focus on what matters most.